All right, guys. Well, we are coming off of a long Memorial Day weekend, and news is still light, but that is okay because I actually get to spend a little bit of time talking about two things in particular, which are completely and totally connected, which is one, Furiosa, and two, the box office. But I'm hoping to approach things in a little bit of a different way than people have this week and just today in general. So let's go ahead and just dig into it. First and foremost, before we talk about anything, I want to talk about Criticless. If you are not a member or a user of Criticless, make sure to come and check it out. It is criticless.com, www.criticless.com. We are a movie reviewing and entertainment platform. So you can come and just talk about movies, TV shows, whatever you're watching currently. Just hang out with friends, start groups, make lists, do all sorts of fun things. So just go ahead, create an account, come say hi. I'll be your MySpace Tom and say what's up. Make sure to say hi and just talk about movies and TV, the stuff you love and the entertainment that you are consuming, because it's time that we have a change within culture. Critics don't need to run the conversation. You do. So let's go ahead and get into what I wanted to talk about today, which is Furiosa and the box office, but a little bit of both in tandem here. So this is the biggest part of the news here, which is that Furiosa came out on a Memorial Day weekend, which is a big weekend for the movie, and it always has been. And now we have found out that Furiosa has won the box office, but it's with the worst box office numbers for an opening in 30 years. The 1994 Casper film was the last one to do worse than this, which is pretty impressive. And that was 30 years ago, where it made $32 million. And so let's go ahead and take a look. I've actually got Odin's numbers brought up here with Geeks and Gamers. So he clocked Furiosa at $25.5 million. And then Garfield came out this weekend too, and it was just under this movie at over 24 and a half. So they were almost neck and neck, honestly, and not even a full million off from each other. But these are really bad numbers, even for the past couple weekends that we've had. This is the worst. It's not good. This is not good. And If came in third place, which had a 52% drop. But this is just not great. And so this is leading a lot of folks to have certain discussions about Hollywood and about, what is going on in the box office and why people aren't showing up and the problems with film. And the one thing that I've seen in video after video after video today, and I've just kind of been brewing on how to approach this because I hadn't seen Furiosa yet, and I just didn't know how I was going to be able to talk about it. So what did I do? I decided to go see Furiosa before making this video, which is why it's coming out late, because I wanted to be able to give an accurate, description of the film and talk about it and maybe what the problems were and what's happening here. And I think that what I think about the box office is continuing to happen, and it's what I've stated in the past, and it's just getting worse. But we'll get to that in a minute. But the big thing that I've been seeing is that folks are calling Furiosa woke. And this is a problem. This is just really a big problem, because I have seen Furiosa now. I just got out, and I can openly say that Furiosa is not inherently woke. And, for a while I've been hearing people say that, like, this word is losing its meaning. Everybody's calling everything woke, and it just doesn't have any true meaning anymore. And at first I was like, oh, come on. It's pretty obvious to spot something woke. And it was for a while. But now the word is losing its meaning, because the thing is that if you were to go around the general public and say Furiosa's woke, and then they were to go see this movie, they would be like, what are you talking about? What is woke about this? There is no direct politics. There is nothing inherently political about this movie at all. And that is the truth. It's not. Now, I can understand what people are getting at with it being in the subtext here, which is that, a lot of folks are just kind of over the girl boss situation with film. And it's been happening over and over throughout the years. I mean, the easiest one to point to as far as the bright shining star of girl bossness is with Rey and with the Star Wars series and where it kind of has gone. And then there are plenty of other franchises that have done it. But the problem is that we've developed this character called a Mary Sue character, who is just this female character who is just an absolute boss, who can be, 100 pounds soaking wet, throwing around 250-pound men like the ragdolls. And we've been seeing a whole lot of that. If you watched Marvel's Echo, it was the same type of thing. And it's just been happening in film too much. And so the problem is that there is a big knee-jerk reaction with female leads right now. And I understand where it comes from. Do not get me wrong. I understand, because it has been happening in film nonstop. And there are people that actually levy that accusation against Fury Road. The technically the movie that came before this one that this movie is based off of. But Fury Road, I do not think suffered from that either. And I would argue that Fury Road is an all but flawless film, even with the fact that Furiosa was the lead in that movie as well. But I think that there are several reasons that this movie is failing, and it's not wokeness, guys. I'm sorry, it's not. Now, it does have problems, larger problems with Hollywood in general, but it is not because this movie is woke. It's not because word of mouth is saying that it's woke. Now, a lot of communities are going to try and push that just because it's part of that grift of saying, look, everything's woke, it's all a problem, and Hollywood needs to be ripped out by the root. And I'm not totally against all of that. And I'm not saying that a lot of this hasn't been going on, but this movie is not demonstrating that problem. And I do not think it's a discussion that needs to be had, because it's fairly irrelevant with this movie. She is a bit overpowered in this movie, but she kind of earns it as it goes on. And if we got into the nitty gritty and I was leaving a review for this movie right now, I could see where people are making some of those connections, but it's just not enough to make that a worthy claim for the problems, for that to be the problem. So what I think is really going on right now with these box office numbers, and I have mentioned before, and I'm going to kind of double down on that, is that I think that a lot of the problem is streaming. Right now, we are seeing movies come out within a month or less from their theatrical release. Why would people who aren't hardcore movie buffs and people who just have to see things in theaters, why would they pay $20 for a movie ticket, and that's not including popcorn or drink or whatever else? Why would they pay that when they could turn around in several weeks and watch this in the comfort of their home, in their freaking underwear, with their hand down the front of their pants like Al Bundy? It doesn't make sense. They've set this precedent, and until they stop doing like they just recently did with the new Ryan Gosling movie that just came out, the Free Guy? Yeah, sure, maybe. Fall Guy. Yeah, that's it. But anyways, I didn't see it. So, but it's already at home, and I can see it now because it's already basically out of theaters and at my home, and I can literally buy it for the price of a freaking Dolby movie ticket. So, not a huge loss there. I have a decent sized TV at home, surround sound, it'll be great. And that's the issue, is that Hollywood has made the mistake of leaning so hard into their streaming platforms and capitalizing in that way that they've totally decimated the cinema experience and the theater. And this is not going to stop. Now, I do think that there is another problem here that is a Furiosa related problem. Now, granted, you would think that Garfield would have done better, but I have not even seen a Garfield commercial. So I think a lot of Garfield's problems have to do with marketing, and just kind of a dead and or dormant franchise. With Garfield, but I mean, they're not marketing this thing like crazy, and I'm around my kids a lot watching TV, and I've not been seeing ads, or it's not been getting pushed to me in any type of way. I literally don't know that I've seen a commercial for Garfield. So I think that that's its own problem. But with Furiosa, I think the issue is this: it is based in the Mad Max franchise, and the issue here is that we had a movie before this, which was Fury Road, and it was marketed as a Mad Max movie. The problem is that it wasn't really a Mad Max movie. Really, what was happening with it was that it was a Furiosa movie, which is what this is billed to be. The problem is that they kind of buried the lead with that movie, and then it came out, and it was a Furiosa movie. And a lot of us didn't care. There were people that did, and that is what it is. But I did not mind one bit. The problem is this: that now we are at a sequel film / prequel film, and it is another Furiosa movie, a character who already got plenty of time to shine, and people want Mad Max in this world. And the thing is that Tom Hardy didn't get the time to shine as that character, not truly, because it was more of a Furiosa movie. And I mean, that is what it is, but I think that a lot of the problem here is that you made a movie about a character, one, that people weren't necessarily chomping at the bit to see again. And it's not Charlize Theron, who was the previous character. And the really interesting thing here is there was a lot of conversations about age, but that almost doesn't make sense because half of this movie is not even starring the lead that we thought was going to be in it. It's starring a younger actress that is not even the one billed to be playing Furiosa. So there's a lot of problems wrapped up in that I think are going to lead into this, is that this isn't a Mad Max movie, and it's not necessarily what a lot of people wanted. And I think it's a little disingenuous to go ahead and just start screaming woke, 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 when really I don't think that that's why people aren't showing up. It's that they have no real incentive to show up because they think they can turn around and watch it in 3 or 4 weeks at home. And it's that you didn't give them Mad Max again. And I'm going to also say as well that you have given us a lead who I don't think a lot of people necessarily thought was a good replacement for Charlize Theron. And I can say after seeing the film, she was not. I like Anna Taylor-Joy. I think she's a great actress, but I do not think she is an action movie actress. And I thought she was fine in this, but it wasn't anything mind-blowing. It wasn't anything necessarily amazing. And I just don't know that this was the solution. And unfortunately, this was the movie that they wanted to make, but I don't know that it was the movie that fans wanted. And it was fine, but it did not live up to the expectations of the last film. And I don't think word of mouth is going to be the same that it was for the last movie, because the last movie broke a lot of people's brains in a lot of ways because of just the epic moments and what was going on from moment to moment. And even though this kept me on the edge of my seat for a lot of the film, I'd put it on a critical scale somewhere in the rad territory, not in most excellent. I mean, I think that Fury Road is honestly pretty close to 100, if not 100% personally. This movie is somewhere in the upper rad territory. I think it is a very solid film. I think it's pretty well made. Too much green screen, but that is what it is. But my beefs aren't with anything political, and my beefs aren't really even necessarily with, how any of that was handled. I think it's just a movie that a lot of people weren't hungry for, starring someone that they didn't want as the lead. And this is what you get. And this is already compounded on the fact that we have been getting diminishing box office returns week after week after week. And I've been covering it, and you guys have been hearing about it. And, it's pretty hard to miss. And now we're sitting here at a long weekend, a 3-day weekend, and the movie does this bad. I mean, and the thing is that they are even, like right now with Deadline, they are talking about, here, let me show you guys. But on Deadline, they are giving numbers here, which is they are saying that it made 58.9 million. But the thing is that is the global box office, which technically is important because that's all the money that they made. But the thing is that the US box office numbers are even worse. I mean, as Odin pointed out, it made $25.5 million. This is bad. It's worse than Planet of the Apes did. Like, it is not good for something that came out on this weekend. But I also just think we need to start being a lot more honest about the discussions around film and Hollywood and what is happening with the industry and what is causing these things. And right now, this particular issue, it's not wokeness. So let's call it that. That's it. It's just not. Furiosa does not suffer from wokeness. It suffers from a slew of other things that Hollywood has done and mistakes that they have been making and continue to make. And until they decide to start broadcasting, hey, this isn't coming out for like 6 months at home, you better go see it in theaters, which is what they should be doing. And I'm sorry if you just can't wait, but like, pull back, just wait. Sorry, you lost the money at the box office, but like, tell everybody up front, if you want to see it, you might have to make 6 months to a year for this to come out at home. So you decide if you want to show up to the box office, and that'll fix a lot of this problem really quick. I honestly think. I think that is the number one root cause. I think that this movie could have done even better with the problems that I've mentioned that it has. I think that it still should have done marginally, if not honestly drastically better than what it currently did. I mean, this is really bad, and I hate it for it because it's not a bad movie, and I think it's going to really hurt this franchise going forward. And I mean, the thing is we've got a director who has done these films, who is, not a spring chicken. And I think he's excellent at what he does, and I'd like to see him do more of these, but I don't know that, Warner Brothers or these studios are going to get behind a franchise like this if it can't turn the numbers that they need it to turn. And the thing is that they keep shooting these big franchises in the foot because of these problems that they are doing, which is like, tackling issues like, and I can understand how, with the wokeness claim where it's, that we want a female lead, it's just constantly female leads. That's what everything's got to have. But the thing is that when you do these female-led action movies, most of the time people don't show up in the way that they do for a lot of these male-led action movies. I don't know why that is. It just is what it is. And I mean, it's just, facts are facts. But also I think a lot of this connects to that when they do these female leads, they don't follow through and make them the quality films that they need to be and give these characters the believable backstories and build them out to be the genuine characters that you would expect and let them take their lumps before they are this absolute badass. But, that is a lesson that Hollywood is also going to have to learn, and it is technically connected to wokeness, but I really don't think that that's, the connection that we need to make with Furiosa. But, it is what it is. Hollywood is taking their lumps, and I think it is lumps that they need to take. The problem is that I do not think that they are going to take away the lessons that we need to from these lumps. They seem to be very hard-headed, and they seem to continue to double down on everything that they are doing wrong. So I can't trust that they're going to fix it here. But I think that there needs to be more people in the conversation saying that, look, this movie didn't fail because of wokeness. Maybe it did fail because you gave us a character that we didn't want, you know? And it's not necessarily even because this character is female. It's because it's based off of a male-led franchise that's been around for a very long time. And people want that character back. People would have loved to have Tom Hardy back in an actual legit Mad Max movie, because that's kind of what we wanted, not a Furiosa movie. So, you know, Hollywood, get your crap together. Learn the right lessons. And all of us, we need to just start telling people. And that's why I've done something like Create Criticless, where you can give your opinion and you can state these things, and we can really make it obvious to the public. Because that's the thing, is that even with, you know, this movie, we have things like our political bias scale. And I have not even looked up Furiosa yet, because I didn't want anything spoiled, and I've been on vacation for the past little bit. What's up, guys? Glad to be back. But if you were to take a look on Criticless, the political bias meter is none from everybody that's reviewed it thus far. And it might not have the best reviews ever, but it's still sitting at a 74% from 24 people, which is pretty good. It's at a rad, which is where I said I would put it. And I think that that's a fair score. But the thing is if you look down here, you know, it's got a bit of language, a lot of violence, a bit of nudity, but no political bias, and it's not family friendly. But we've got these scales here for people to rate. And the thing is, if we've got, you know, countless numbers of people showing up in here, and the studios can look at platforms like Criticless and say, oh, well, the political bias meter says that it's none on this, actually, and we've had all these people view it, then what was the problem? And then they start looking at the reviews, and they're like, there are literally hundreds of thousands of things that can be searched here, reviews, where people are saying that the problem was just that they didn't necessarily want a Furiosa movie, you know, or that, you know, that they knew a lot of friends that wanted to see it, but they figured they'd just wait and watch it at home. So the thing is, we need to let our voices be heard in the right way and be honest about it. And I think that that will speak volumes, and that's what we need to be doing going forward, as far as letting the industry know how we feel about the stuff that they are putting out, because they can shove crap down our throats only but so long before people quit taking it. And that's kind of where we are now. And unfortunately for them, they're getting a lot of knee-jerk reactions from people that are just fed up and sick of it. And, you know, this is the byproduct, unfortunately. So, you know, guys, I hope that this was a little bit of a different take on this conversation than what you've been hearing and seeing today. I know that there wasn't really any significant news, and hopefully as the week goes on, you know, we will have more to talk about. But I just really wanted to dig in on this movie and the conversation surrounding it. And I got to miss, or I had to miss our big review for the Criticless Cast Unhinged because I was out of town. So I did want to talk about it a little bit and kind of let you guys know my thoughts. And I'll be dropping my review pretty soon, so you can go check that out when I do. But guys, it has been real. I've had a lot of fun talking about this today, and I'm just glad to be back, glad to be seen, you know, all of you guys through the screens. And I've missed all you guys. Y'all are the best. And I will talk to you tomorrow.